Good afternoon. Today is November the 1st, 2025. It is a Saturday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. New video about the abstract expressionists. The abstract expressionists were a painting group, I'd say around 20, 30 people, maybe possibly more, of people living in New York in the 1930s and 40s that developed a movement and a philosophy towards painting and art creation. They, I think, it's living after, during, and before, during, and after war, the Depression, a lot of the development of New York, and poverty. Just a lot of things that were going on during these 20, 25. I would even include the Great Depression, because it really affected the art, and it really affected consumption, and it affected the philosophy, and the fact that these people were obviously poor and creating, I wouldn't say completely poor, but they were just, it was a different mentality, a different age, and a different time for art creation. So this is very modern painting. There's a lot of reference to Europe, because a lot of these painters came from Europe, or were inheriting European blood and culture. So this has a lot to do with what's going on during this time. It is very popular, very popular movement in art, because it seems to be very accessible. Something that you look at an abstract expressionist painting, and it seems to be a doable, a possible thing that anyone who doesn't know about art can pick up a brush and some paint and obviously accomplish. This is very difficult to achieve in abstract expressionism. Its completion, its actual formation of an abstract painting, expressionist painting, will be evident in the final product. The philosophy behind it is probably something, and that's why it's so important in art, modern art, is that it's a factual, it is a doable thing, something someone who doesn't know about art can actually interpret this and accomplish it. Anyways, we continue. So creating one of these masterpieces or works of art is very difficult. I really like this Taschen editorial. They make really great books with really great paper and really great photography. This book is by Barbara Hess, and I don't know what year it was published, but it is a great book. It's one of my favorite Taschen books. I came back to art after viewing a Picasso painting. Obviously, Picasso is post Impressionism, and I'm trying to think of the movement. Obviously, Cubism. During Cubism, Braque and Picasso invented Cubism and invented a whole movement. But Picasso was very reminiscent to this movement, the same as Italian and Spanish. Italian arte povera and Spanish el informalismo. These are movements that are parallel to the abstract expressionists in New York. They're very similar in philosophy. Obviously, the final product is a lot different, and there's similarities, lots of similarities. This is a Jackson Pollock movie. Is also one of the things that really inspired me to get back into painting. I do not know who this is. It's Sam Francis. Great, beautiful painting. It's a beautiful painting. Sam Francis is one of the abstract expressionists. Jackson Pollock, one of the abstracts. There is a movie with I forgot his name. He's a famous actor. It'll come to me right now. Jackson Pollock, Sony Pictures Classics, and Mary Hardin. She's a really great actress too. Played Lee, Jackson Pollock's wife. So these are the abstract expressionists. It's Barnett Newman. I think this is Klein. This is Rothko, Mark Rothko. This is Clifford Still. I think this is no, not San Francis. Oh, I forgot who this is. This is either Ed Reinhardt. I think that's him, Ed Reinhardt, or San Francis. This is Willem de Kooning. I don't know who she is. Seems to be very important. I don't know who that is. And obviously Jackson Pollock. He is the reason I came back into painting after many years of not painting. Well, actually, it was Picasso, but then I completely decided to get materials right after watching the Jackson Pollock movie. This is very inspirational time for painting. So there's more abstract expressionists, but these are, I guess, the main ones, the ones that were starting the movement. Yeah, these are the familiar names in the movement. This is New York painting movement. Willem de Kooning, a Dutch painter from Holland. I'm sorry, is it Holland? He's my favorite painter. I completely blanked out. Holland and Amsterdam. I'm sorry, Amsterdam, from Amsterdam. I draw a blank when I start recording. Franz Klein is an American painter, very important. Black and white expressionist paintings. Helen Frankenthaler, her paintings are really good. Lee Krasner is Jackson Pollock's wife. These are the paintings. Hans Hofmann, great painter. I really like his color. Arshel Gorky is a Armenian painter, very important painter. Armenian. Was Willem de Kooning's friend. I think they were best friends for quite some time. And Arshel and Willem exchanged a lot of ideas about art, and Willem de Kooning being from the European school of art, very structured and educated. Arshel Gorky came from an Armenian family who was obviously from the same school, but I think he didn't receive as much education. He just kind of learned it from an exchange of ideas through groups, and I think his family was all went to New York. There is an Arshel Gorky movie. I have not seen it yet. I hope to find it sometime in the near future. Jackson Pollock. Expressive, a lot of dripping, big scale paintings. I'm gonna try to make this a quick video, not too long. This is the first, this is what Jackson Pollock was painting in the beginning with Thomas Benton. Thomas Hart Benton was his teacher. Mark Rothko. Subway paintings, a series of these paintings. These weren't very popular at the time, but I think they're great. I think they're very they're reminiscent of modern cartooning, I think, and sort of like the industrial movement and New York in the 30s and 40s. I think I think they're great paintings. Arshel Gorky, beautiful colors and shapes. This is Jackson Pollock. This is enamel house painting, house paint, which was a lot more accessible and a lot less expensive. There's a lot of dripping, very free form, looking for shapes through the process of painting. Very expressive. Nothing really concrete, just kind of this. That's Peggy Guggenheim. Sitting, I do not know where. It's Art of the Century. This is modern painting. This is a big exhibition of modern artists. Name should be around here somewhere. No. So this was very important. In the 40s, Hans Hofmann, this is a beautiful, beautiful painting. I really love the orange and reds and oranges are some of my favorite tones that are contained within abstract expressionism. This is Willem de Kooning, figures. Willem de Kooning and Elaine de Kooning, his wife at the time. That is her painting. I think she painted Robert F. Kennedy. This is she's a really good painter also, but he's my favorite abstract expressionist and my favorite painter. Like if I had to choose only one, I would say Willem de Kooning is my favorite painter. Because he has the European school. He seems to have a lot of what is this called? He seems to have a lot of knowledge about materials, and his painting is grotesque. I like that. I think his giving up aesthetics for content and maybe I'm looking for maybe weight, heavy painting, gunked up, really dirty, messy, but also controlled, structured, and there's a lot of sensuality and there's a lot of form in his painting and his brush strokes. His drawing is unique. Elaine de Kooning is a great painter, and she has really great drawing skills. And I have not seen many of her paintings, but from what I know, she's an excellent draftsman and painter. I do not know who these are. Kenneth Holland, Morris Lewis, and Helen. I do know her, Helen Frankenthaler. It's a really long last name. Very European, but some of this is very very trial and error. It's very evident that they know a lot about literature, a lot about maybe materials also, because they were sharing a lot of information. But some of it is very naive, and some of it is very trial and error. This is great. Clifford Still. I really like his approach to covering canvas. It's loud and it's quiet at the same time. It's very interesting. Barnett Newman. He does these balanced bars covered in paint. It's like not cylinders, but like rectangles. I've already shared this book in one of my painting processes, but I'm repeating it. Some of it I've reread. James Brooks, Head of Stern, the new American painting. This is maybe like a sort of answer to the German expressionists. Germany was um, with Vasily Kandinsky, Mark, um, Friends Mark, no, not Friends Mark, yeah, Friends Mark, the Blue Rider movement. It was I think Bauhaus was around this time. Paul Klee, but they're not the same movement. These are completely different movements because they're German, and in Germany things were, obviously war and all this stuff was going on. But a lot of the philosophy of creating art was, I guess, bled over to America. And in Colombia we have Guillermo Wiedmann, who brought over abstraction. Also Alejandro Obregón. He brought over modern, I would say, modern expressionism through, his he his family was, I think he moved here when he was young, and the back and forth going to Europe and coming back to the Americas, and really enveloping themselves and becoming Americans, and developing a lot of language and knowledge with what we already had. A lot of the colonial painters here in Colombia, Santa Maria, and man, I forgot most of their names, but we already had European school here, but the modernists brought over more information, and we developed the abstract expressionists of New York. This was Jackson Pollock in Life magazine, when he actually broke through and became very famous. I don't know who that is. So I'm assuming it's a famous model, somebody who really liked his work. This is a beautiful, beautiful painting. I think that Jackson Pollock is underrated at the beginning of his career. There's a lot of really, really important works in, this stuff right here. This is obviously great, but there's something within this stuff that really tells a lot about maybe the future of Jackson Pollock's career. This has a lot of maybe French, Spanish, and let me see. I would even say some Italian. It's very free, but it's also very strong work. Anyways, I think his first paintings are very important. Like, obviously, everybody falls in love with this stuff. This was the stuff that broke through, and it's very commercial now. Obviously, there's a lot of this, a lot of painting on dripping, and he obviously created it as his own, a trademark. But the before stuff is really, really good too. This stuff is really cool. It's like oils and waxes. Andy Warhol. Obviously, Andy Warhol is pop. Paul McCarthy. I do not know much about Paul McCarthy. Martin Kiepenberger trabajando. Martin Kippenberger. Do not know who that is, but he's obviously making a lot of paintings in one session. It's a lot about not so much the material. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. It's a lot about the material. It's a lot about the material and the approach towards making a mark, towards conserving its original state and transforming it. There's a lot of stuff about the abstract expressionist. It seems like a sloppy thing that anybody can just throw together. I think this is Andy Warhol. Let's read this. This is in Spanish. El hecho de tomar un poco de pintura con el pincel y pintar la nariz de cualquiera no deja de ser ridículo desde un punto de vista teórico o filosófico. En cualquier caso, carece realmente de sentido pintar actualmente con color un retrato humano. Tiene sentido pintar actualmente con color un retrato humano. Basically, I think he's saying it's very pointless. It's like pointless trying to capture a classical portraiture, this day and age, because we represent a lot more. There's a lot of industry. There's a lot of access to materials. The modern age is very I don't know, very definitive of the destruction of humanity through war, through invention, and I guess the painting is sort of like an instrument to illustrate all this. Jackson Pollock. See, I think this stuff is great. That's Jackson Pollock. I think this stuff is great. I think it has a lot of courage. It's a lot of courage trying to show this, especially in the United States during this time. And I think it has a lot to do with the Spanish informalists, los informalistas in España. They really created and kept this rigorous work ethic, and materials were completely transforming painting at this time. This is Arshel Gorky. There's a movie about Arshel Gorky. I don't know what year. I think in the last decade it was released. It shows a lot about his life. Beautiful color, figures, and there's a lot of line work here. It's you can't really tell because it's covered in paint and formed like it forms around the line, but there's a lot of line here, and it's really beautiful, and it makes you want to pick up a paintbrush and start trying to paint, just out of, for fun. Hans Hofmann, a really great. I really like his color. Don't know too much about his life, but I know through this book I've seen these paintings, and I really like his reds, his oranges. Composition is also very interesting. It seems like something an early de Kooning, or something an early de Kooning and a Gorky might have done, except of the impasto is very very de Kooning-ish. Layering. It's also, and what is that reminiscent of? It's very European, Spanish, and French. I would even German. Actually, no, that's not. I'm not too sure about the German. I know modern German painters do apply this. So I guess it is valid thing to say. But off the bat, Spanish painting is very heavy and thick on material. So I think this is something that is almost like a sculpture, like clay, like rock, like thick paper. So materials are a very very important thing here. This is Ed Reinhardt. Is it Ed Reinhardt? Yes, Ed Reinhardt. I don't know. This is some sort of like a cartoon, and it's sort of like a tree of art history. And from these painters, we had these, and then abstract. Yeah, so we got Klee, we got Kandinsky, we got Ernst, we got Chirico. I don't know if I'm saying that Chirico. I'm saying that wrong. And Dix, Otto Dix. He's a great painter from. He was a German soldier. I don't know if he was German or Austrian. He went to war. He went to one of the wars, the Second World War, and really saw a lot of atrocious, grotesque things during war. And he painted society, and it's really ugly, ugly, ugly painting done very, very well. I think I would say in easily the same as George Gross. If you see a George Gross drawing, it's really illustrating industrial consumption and a really dark time in society. But we were very people were very together. There was a lot of socialism going on, a lot of people in large groups. We didn't have the internet, and we didn't have anything to keep us home except maybe a few books. We didn't have televisions. We only maybe we had if anything we had maybe a radio or something. But being with people, being more maybe on the streets, and anyways, George Gross illustrates this very well. And I think Otto Dix, if you can only look at one of these, Miro is one of my favorite great inspirations. Obviously, Duchamp's importance in modern art is hugely established, and Mondrian and Malevich's one-tone paintings, which seem like it's one tone, but it's really heavy work, thought process behind. Mondrian's paintings are very laborious, very beautiful, structured, white, black, yellow, red, and blue paintings. Later he changed his palette a little, but it was basically throughout his life. It was basically that. Kandinsky is one of my great influences also, and Klee. I don't know how you pronounce, but Paul Klee is one of my great influences. Otto Dix is something to really study and to admire. Great painter. So this is, I guess, Ad Reinhardt's map of art history, and very quickly distributed. There's something here. It says, look, this is interesting. Children's work, Ingres. This is French, Poussin, Italian, primitive paintings. So like the first few centuries of art. It's like not the first few. It's like the first, and then like French Revolution, the Romanticism, Baroque period, Japanese prints. Obviously, were a huge influence on Van Gogh, and Monet's Impressionist paintings were a huge influence on the Post-Impressionists, Cezanne and Gauguin. Seurat he's the one that developed pointillism. Well, painting with a structured color palette, which went from using various tones of one color. It's a structured pointillism. There's a famous painting of a French scene. Seurat is I can't remember the name right now, but I think he's the inventor of two things: the structured palette, where he could develop many tones of one color, and pointillism, so painting with small dots. Anyways, I don't know too much about it, but I sort of remember. I do not know who this is. This is William Baziotes. Cyclops. It seems very like a child could do this, but there's layers of thick paint. There's also something about Cyclops. I'm assuming there's a story behind it. I don't know. I could maybe think of war, of post-war, of chemical war. of maybe poverty, maybe modern design. Well, anyways, more and more comes to mind, but it's a million words for every picture. Jackson Pollock, this is a great painting. It's really thick and heavy on the paint and atmosphere. It's great. This is Philip Guston. He's a great, I would say, he's got his own style, and it's very. This is portrait number 2. He's got his own style. I think he was a teacher, an art teacher in New York, if I'm not mistaken, or California somewhere. He's a very important, I guess, theorist, or not theorist, but important painter. And I like his figures. There's something about a Philip Guston painting. You look at a Philip Guston and you know it's Philip Guston. It's easy to pull out. Like you look at it and you know it's Philip Guston. Great, interesting. Barnett Newman. This is also someone you can look at and you know it's Barnett Newman. He does these, like I said, these rectangles, these bars. It's like one balanced and then like 2 big rectangles on the side. But in this era, he seems to like sort of balance it out, like all this straight edge stuff, balance it out with a really thick layer of one tone. Something, it looks easy, but it has its science and it has its appeal. Very, very similar to what a Mark Rothko might have done later on in his career. This is earlier Rothko. He's also one of my favorite painters. I really like his thought process and the things he says and does about tragedy, drama, art, and time, space, infinity, death, and I guess tortured. He's really a tortured soul. He was a very intelligent human being. He was very, I think he got a scholarship to Yale, and he was very, very, very smart. Read a lot of books. I'm assuming he wrote a lot of papers, and what's known is that he was bullied by anti-Semites, Russian anti-Semites, and he developed a lifestyle of just reading, and later on in his life, I think he left Yale and started painting and just dedicated his life to his earlier adult life after college, university, to teaching like poor people, poor groups, poor children, or poor young adults. I'm not sure actually, but to teach art in neighborhoods in, I think it was Queens or New York, somewhere in New York. It's very tragic. He became very famous, and fame was something that really he didn't really understand. He was too caught up in being an intellect and being smart and reading, and he had his ideas about being poor and about being smart, about being a great artist. And being a great artist meant being tortured and being aware of a lot of injustices and a lot of dark things in life. Later on, he would go on to speak about. Later on, he would go on to speak about in his work, just to talk, to the theme of maybe war, annihilation, apocalypse, death. Very dark subjects, and it's really, really depressing life. The life he led after he became famous. This is Lee Krasner. She is a. If you do not, where do I get all this information, and obviously I went to art school. I'm a fine art major, but I also did do some research on my own, and there is movies on all of this. I can't. Simon Sharma is a uh, English historian. Yes, an English historian who has a series on. He did on film and arts, and I would watch it religiously. Which was by the name of The Power of Art. There's one on Van Gogh. There's one on Beethoven. No, I'm sorry. There's one on Van Gogh. There's one on Mark Rothko. There's one on Caravaggio. There's one on Bernini. There's one on Rembrandt. And there's a couple more, but they're very good. They're like movies. It's like history heightened up and turned into a movie. It's really, really interesting. Really interesting to watch. The Power of Art, Simon Sharma. There's one more that I wanted to name, but those are some of the ones. Lee Krasner, Jackson Pollock's wife, she was also a very good, talented painter. She did a lot of great work, and she influenced Jackson Pollock's work, obviously, and she had a lot of education prior to becoming Jackson's wife, and dedicating her life to painting and to being a part of the abstract expressionists. Clifford Still, I really like his stuff. I think it's loud, but it's also somehow he's being very delicate in trying to quiet the painting down by covering it up, by leaving these little holes, little silences, like it's like silent notes, but like lost in atmosphere. There's a lot of Turner here. There's a lot of obviously Mark Rothko. I'm sure he influenced him. And I'm trying to think of someone else. Turner is obviously, this is William Turner influenced, and anyways, Clifford Still, Grandin, I don't know where that is. Grandin, that would be interesting to know if it's quickly here. I'll look it up. 1904, 1980 in New York. Lived his whole life in New York. This is Bradley Walker Tomlin. I do not know who that is. 1989, Syracuse, New York. Very reminiscent of maybe the Bauhaus, German Expressionism. Willem de Kooning, this is my favorite painting. He seems to be my favorite painter. He seems to be very Rotterdam, not Amsterdam, Rotterdam. Yes, I forgot about that. I keep saying Holland, and then I always associate Willem de Kooning with Rembrandt for some reason because of the stuff he would, he was an educated artist in Europe that came to the United States, that went to the United States and became very, very, very famous because he knew a lot about art history and a lot about art materials and a lot about process and working in the art, not as a painter but as a as decoration for buildings and homes. So there's a school behind it. There's a lot of theory behind this. There's knowledge of materials, art history, obviously. I would say this is very reminiscent of primitive, but it also talks a lot about war. It talks a lot about saturated events occurring at that time. There was a lot of poverty. There was a lot of war, and the modernist, the modern age became very, full of questions. It was very questionable what we were doing as human beings. What, I mean, World War II with Hitler, and well, this was a lot. This is after, obviously, but I think these questions were already being asked at this time. War was, all of this war, this poverty. Maybe the first World War, we were trying to figure out what it was that we were trying to accomplish. And if we want to see the the things that we create through war, through violence, we just have to look at our history. And then a lot of people tell us, no, just look at history. All you have to do is look at history, and you read these books on war, and you can't really see what it is that we're doing with our lives and with humanity. But then we look at art, and art is obviously there to illustrate it completely. And you look at these war paintings, stuff, maybe Piero della Francesca. This is the Renaissance, and we see a war going on, and Francisco de Goya, decapitations. What is this called when people lose limbs? Just completely. Where does this stem from? Why is violence still somehow a part of our lives, and we haven't evolved from it? Because there's something about this that's still very much alive. Our primitive animal instincts. We still come into this world knowing zero, right? We're taught everything from learning how to speak, learning how to eat. It's still very much alive, the primitive, animalistic part of our existence. So it's very difficult to tell somebody why we're still living in a very violent modern world when we know how terrible violence is. But it's very difficult to not be who we are, right? We are very violent animals that we have territories, and we're very territorial, and all of these things are explained inside art history. Are they justified? Probably not. Hitting somebody or taking someone's life in order to prove a point is probably not justified, or it's still frowned upon, and it's still part of. We still have religion. We still have Jesus, and the turning point of. We have the Renaissance, where we started realizing a lot of things about the soul, about thought, about humanity, and we can't say that this is still valid, that we can go around killing people because it makes us who we are. It's very unjustified, and there's no excuse for it, obviously. But anyways, continuing. Barnett Newman, I don't know who that is. I'm assuming it's maybe Betty Parsons. That's another important art curator, I think. She was an art curator. Not completely 100% positive. Barnett Newman. I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's actually I don't know if it's a painting, but it's. No, it is. I can tell it is. It's a painting. You can't really tell on the sides. There's two white squares on the side. It's a really big canvas. Very beautiful. Yeah, there's almost up to the point of saying it's the red is very reminiscent of passion, of creativity, of love, of blood, of war, of passion, of compassion. Oh, that's Okay, Jackson Pollock, another Jack Lavender Mist. This was I think one of the famous paintings that made him huge, huge painting. What's the size of this thing? It doesn't say. 221 by 300 centimeters. So it's like 2.2 meters by 300 by 3 meters. So 3 by 2 meters. Huge. Beautiful, beautiful landscapes of snow, grass, dead leaves, dead branches. The fall, no, after fall, really cold winters. American landscape. Jackson Pollock, beautiful. Montauk and New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, the East, American East, Northeast. Willem de Kooning, Elaine de Kooning, when they were a lot younger. Elaine and Willem de Kooning, principios de los años 50. This is the beginning of the 50s. So they started really young. So maybe like in the early 30s. This started early 30s. But the actual abstract expressionists were, I guess, developing it in the mid 40s. I'm sorry, yeah, mid 40s through the 50s. So I guess this was when he met her. From what I know, when he met Elaine de Kooning is when he started developing a different social circle, and they were very much friends with journalists, art curators, magazines, museums, etc., etc. And very young, very attractive couple who became very popular because of what they did and the people they knew, and charisma. This is one of Willem de Kooning's most famous paintings. It's a woman, titled Woman 1. What I know, this is months of painting, months of work, months of layering, months of hard work. Beautiful, beautiful painting. When I first saw this stuff, I didn't understand. Because I was very new to coming back to art, and I was doing a lot of investigation, and I was working really hard at should I study art? Should I get back into drawing full time? Should I try to look into a course? All this stuff was coming at me all at once, and I was looking in Google. I was looking at Willem de Kooning because he was he was in that movie, the Jackson Pollock movie. So I looked him up in Google, and then I started looking at this painting, and I did not understand this. I was very turned off by I was very turned off by the form, but I was very turned on by how grotesque and how childish it looked. Like, I could probably do something like this. This doesn't look very hard. But then you actually try to approach these materials. There's a lot of newspaper, there's charcoal, there's enamel, there's other different types of house paint. There's I'm assuming pigments that were found, maybe earth pigments. It's very laborious, and you try to do something like this, and you find that 2, 3, 4, 5 hours pass in your area, your studio, and you're like, this does not look like a Willem de Kooning. And you read up on this, and then you learn that this took months, maybe even a couple of years to develop. So you're like, I can't do this in one day. You try to do, and you keep at it, and you keep at it. Months, weeks go by, and the painting keeps getting worse. and you're wondering why it is, and it's because all of the stuff that he knew, that he was very much aware of: form, line, structure, composition, color, tone, value, art history. All this stuff really was in his, I guess his utility belt. And all this stuff was being used simultaneously at the same time, and through lots of hard work and expression, and maybe education and knowledge through the European Academy. And then you try to figure it out. You're like, why is this famous? Why is this popular? And then you try to do something like this. Get some canvas, get some paint, and then you try to start doing this, and you start developing. And then after 2 hours, your arm is completely tired, your back is aching, your fingers are really dirty because you wanna mess around with oil, and then oil is very, very dirty, and it gets all over everything. And then you find that you've just ruined your new shirt. And then you start getting frustrated, and you're like, oh my God, I thought this was going to be easy. I thought this was going to be fast. I thought this was going to be done quickly, and it's not. It's very laborious. It's lots of hard work, lots of education, and lots of culture being drawn at the same time. This Willem de Kooning is known for being an excellent, even in his education, even in school, he was known as one of the, high draftsmen, really good draftsman, lots of skill. And well, this stuff is not easy. This is stuff that's very laborious. But then you hang one of these things. Once you know about all this stuff, then you hang one of these things in a very beautiful building. An architect, famous architect, I don't know, maybe where there's a lot of commerce, maybe, this is European, so maybe like a German car company who loves art. You hang up one of these paintings, and it really goes with the aesthetics of the beautiful car, the really clean areas, the white, maybe the salesman, the office, the architecture, all of this blends in, and you put one of these near one of these cars, and it looks beautiful, very beautiful. This is really, really excellent. Hudson River landscape. I do not know who this is. This is a sculpture, David Smith. Do not know who this is, but it seems like this is a wooden sculpture. It seemed like it was very, very laborious to do this. But what is being emphasized here? It's not really space. I'm sorry, it is, but it's more of it is line and composition. So yeah, space. So it's not so much that it's made out of wood or made out of metal, but well, actually, yeah, no, it has a lot to do with the actual result of how it looks, right? If it was made out of metal, it would probably look a lot different. It says a lot about line, space, fluidity, and composition. It says a lot about architecture. These steps and this base has a lot to do with maybe modern ideas of architecture. This division up here looks like doors and maybe halls, like offices from the 70s, which was much later came to existence much later. Mark Tobey. I do not know that much about this one, but this is another it's very pastel-like, very beautiful, calming image. Mark Tobey. Saint Honore, Sam Francis. This was the first painting we saw here. This is Sam Francis. Very, very reminiscent of a de Kooning, a later de Kooning. This looks a lot. This is the cover of the book. Sam Francis. This is, I think I spoke about this, right? Taschen editorial. There's something that is, it's almost like landscape art from a distance, right? It's what it would look like, maybe snow over, blood and uh, mountain, dirty earth being washed up and being frozen, and all of this stuff. I don't know if it's reminiscent of that. This is war. He's a veteran, I'm assuming, pintando en el Fitzsimmons Army Hospital, Denver. I'm assuming he's an army vet. He was in the army. I do not know much about San Francis. I have not read this yet. Well, this one. This is Ad Reinhardt. Very laborious, very precise color, tone, and space being utilized. It looks like a Chinese, maybe. What are these? What is this called? Variation in red and orange around pink ochre plus 2 reds. You notice how sometimes it's in English. This is in English. This is in Spanish. Anyways, it seems like it reminded me of Chinese empire stuff, emperor, old Chinese Asian art. The space seems to be something. This is Richard Diebenkorn. I have a book of his work, of the Ocean Park series. And I will be sharing that in the near future. These are very beautiful landscape, landscape abstraction. I think it's excellent. His color, his spacing, the line, the depth, the quantity, the quality, the hues, the way the way it's presented is very elegant, but also very courageous and huge. It's huge and modern, especially that. See, there's something about people are wondering. Well, okay, we get it. It's sloppy. It's illustrating a modern age. It's illustrating our modern, primitive state. We are developing new technologies. Neko, ven para acá. Neko, ven. Ya no más. We are developing new modern tools. There's new religions. The radio, television, all these new modern. Neko, no más. A lot of modern, like I'm trying to say, modern primitive. Like we're very primitive in our not knowing all these new things that we have. How far can we get? How far can we go? The car, the plane, the modern weaponry, war. The cinema is actually, I don't know if photography, this is very modern. These are very new modern things, and the modern age is very scary, and it's moving really fast. So what is so great about this movement is that it's illustrating all this. It's through philosophy, through materials, and through size. It's really showing us how big our futures are and how scary they can be if we do not. This is a really great tool to, buckle down and really look and focus on what it is that we are producing and creating. So this painting movement really illustrates this. This is Jackson Pollock. This is also a totem lesson too. This is primitive painting. Very beautiful. Jackson Pollock. It's great. Elegy to the Spanish Republic #3. I do not understand this, and it's also not very appealing, but I think it That's what makes it so good, is that it's not here to look nice. It's here to tell you something and to express a mood and a state of mind. So I think it's weird. The shapes, it's almost very phallic-y, reminiscent phallic. I like the words maybe and the space, the composition. It seemed like a good approach, but I also like the color. The orange, the white, and the black is interesting with the blue up here. It's really interesting. There's something right here. Here's like a faint step into light, dark. Interesting. I guess it's not completely awful, but I think the fallacy, the phallic part, and the composition, it seems to be a little disturbing, but it's yeah, that's the best thing. I mean, sometimes that's really what's really good about painting. This is quite the opposite. This is very harmonious to the viewer because it's very much away from you. It doesn't take up your space. It doesn't want to scare you. It more of the way I interpret it, it's very harmonious. The orange and the yellow, two colors that are very close to each other, and develop seem to be harmonious. I mean, it's also kind of, I guess it is taking up a lot of space. It can be scary, but it seems to be more. I seem to interpret it because it's warm. The warm colors, maybe because I know about Mark Rothko already, so it shows me. I've seen a Mark Rothko show. I saw it in MoMA. This was a really long time ago when I went back to Los Angeles. I went to go see Mark Rothko's paintings. When was this? This was like 2012, 2011. And it was a huge, I guess, homage to, if I'm using the right word, a beautiful, I would say easily like 50 paintings of this size were being shown at I think it's the MoMA in Los Angeles. Beautiful stuff. And I was really blown away by it. I was really blown away by it, by the size, by the colors, the spacing. So yeah, I guess I know more about. This is Philip Guston. I was talking about him earlier. When you look at a Philip Guston, you know it's a Philip Guston because of the composition, because of the color, and the brushstrokes. The actual drawing is also very reminiscent of German Otto Dix and George Gross. So I know when I see a Philip Guston, well, almost all the time. I can't always say it because of this really weak, disintegrating back into really dark, back into the gray, shaky line, which is fat and wide and almost like cartoonish in a sense, with really grotesque bodies. Is very much, but I like it. I think it's really it appeals to to the cartoonish side of me, and maybe someone like a Sam Keith might really appreciate this. Sam Keith and what's the other one? Jeff Matsuda. Really distorted figures. This is another Lee Krasner. That's Lee Krasner, young with Jackson Pollock. 1949. A lot of work was being shown and created at this time. Lee Krasner. I think these are cutouts. This is like collage of paper, ink, and paint. I don't know, somewhere around here it probably says I haven't read it either. I haven't read this one yet. Apparently they weren't rivals at this. They weren't rivals at. Actually, no. From the movie, I sense that they were rivals in the sense of decision making. Like, why did you do this? Why didn't you do that? This is acceptable. This isn't. Well, it's illustrated in the movie. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But very competitive one towards another. Colleagues, but also lovers, and husband and wife. Joan Mitchell, Hemlock. I like the word hemlock. It's also a word that Bukowski uses in one of his poems, but I do not know what that is. I have to look it up right now. Hemlock. You can tell this is very laborious work. Structured. It's like a tree frozen in time, covered in snow and paint. Chicago, Hemlock. I have to look it up. Poetry. Yeah, poetry. Su madre escribía poesía y editaba una revista literaria de prestigio, Poetry. Oh, so her mother was a magazine publisher. She edited a magazine named Poetry, called Poetry, titled Poetry. It's nice. 7 types of ambiguity. This is also Helen Frankenthaler. This is the one that she's very popular, I think, in New York circle, the New York scene. Still very much like if you know about these big museums, they surely have stuff that she's painted. It's oil paint, but it's reminiscent for me for my tastes. It has a lot. I think it has a lot of Turner because of the watery appeal. Like it seems like it's watered oil. I'm sorry, that's not correct. Like the paint is watered down through more oil than actual paint, but there seems to be other, like another process. It seems to be very. There's a feminine. What is it called? It's like profiled as feminine to watered down colors, like what Turner used to do a lot of watercolor sketching, and the process it's very delicate and it's very beautiful and luminescent. So I think I or maybe it's just me. I associate this type of work with femininity. Mark Tobey seems to illustrate very well in his painting. This one, light pastel pinks and blues and yellows. It looks very delicate, like I don't know, like a nervous system. Very nice. Blast. This is Adolf Gottlieb. He's also well known. I don't know too much about him, but he's I think he's here. Adolf Gottlieb. He's on. This is a long video. I think that's him right there next to Willem de Kooning. Anyways, I think that's him. It could be someone else. 1903, 1974, New York. Do not know that much about it. It looks like the Japanese flag, and it looks like war, destruction, mass destruction. Yeah, I think all of these things were being thought of. They were thinking, what if we keep destroying, we keep destroying each other? What if it's gonna start looking a lot like this? Industrial modern age, big metal, big metal structures, annihilation. Reminds me, the thought process reminds me of something Beksinski, maybe like if you illustrate a Beksinski with words, it would be translated back into painting, would be something like this. That's beautiful. That's perfect. It's a Beksinski painting illustrated in words, translated back into painting. This is what it looks like. I think that's what destruction, annihilation, the apocalypse. Barnett Newman, a great painting. I think this is great. It's very sensual. It's very secretive, but it's also very modern. It looks very like, it looks like animation, like digital painting. Very beautiful. The white and the grays covering the black expression. The tones. Very beautiful. Anyways, Pompeii, Hans Hofmann. We talked about him. In the abstract movements, if you look at really good abstract paintings, they're either white, black, and red, or orange and red, or heavy on the white, or heavy on the black. Like that's basically, a really good abstract expressionist. And orange. You don't see too many green. You don't see too many green because it's not very very landscapey, and brown. You do not see, actually no, you do see a lot of brown. But like oranges, really thick, saturated oranges with really heavy reds, red orange, white, black, and size, right? Obviously the size of the painting. I think he's a Greek origin painter. Theodoros Stamos. Oh man, like John Stamos from Full House. The same last name. Greek. At Reinhardt. So he's the one that was painting looked like the Chinese empire and the map of art history. This looks very laborious and very time-consuming painting at Reinhardt. This is very interesting. I like these. This is very beautiful. Very beautiful. If you know about painting, you really appreciate this. Something Marth Rothko did here in his chapel. This is in Texas. Marth Rothko Chapel. 3 of 14 paintings he did specifically for this space. This is the oil on canvas. It's 3 paintings of 14. This is a triptych in Houston, the Menil collection. This is the Seagram murals. This is at the Tate in London. These are also very beautiful paintings. So Simon Schama's The Power of Art speaks about these in particular, the creation of the Seagram murals. They do not mention this one for some reason. I'm assuming this is when he was still sort of very active, positive, and working a lot. And this is when he was just ending his life. In the mindset of ending his life. And okay, so that's the book. If you like and think any of this information is of use to you, please like and subscribe. Subscribe to my channel. I talk a lot about music, art, and engineering. The future videos will be about more of these art books, so please subscribe. This is a Tatchin publication. Thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing. Have a good day, and have a good rest of the weekend. Thank you.